Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick introduction just in case you haven't heard who we are. So I'm the Participation and Digital Lead at YMCA Dialogue. We kind of have three arms. So we have a housing section, we have a support, so exploited children section, housing support section, and then the section that we work in, which is therapeutic services. And my team is wellbeing, and we do digital intervention for therapeutic services. So any young person that comes into our service, we give them a digital element of our support. Is that right? There you go. So we have a website dedicated for young people. Everything that we produce is co-produced, so we have a team of youth ambassadors that work with us to co-produce every material that we make digitally. So this is just an example of what our wellbeing website looks like. And we also have adult service as well. This came out of COVID, really, was supported by SPFT. So we created that, and it's pages that are there for support, all created by young people, as I said. We also have an encrypted platform. So when a young person comes into our service who've been referred therapy-wise, we offer a therapeutic digital online therapy that can either go alongside their therapy or can be as a waiting list strategy as well. And then we have our website, which also is used by different services. So we have a self-harm learning network on there. We have a young person carers hub as well that we're developing at the moment for West Sussex. And we're also working with ARC KSS for a youth research network as well, which I'm going to shamelessly plug at the end. But that's kind of us as a service, what we do. We also hold the SPOA as well for West Sussex. So all referrals, anyone in West Sussex will come through us, which then goes to SPOA and is triaged out after use back into us. But what we're here to talk about today is the digital review that we took in 2021. So I'm going to hand over to Laura for that.
Thank you. So for context, Unity Insights provides independent analytics and evaluation services. So we tend to do a lot of real-world evaluation. This includes health economic modelling, more recently environmental impact as well, but also some really sort of scale projects too. And as Harriet said, in 2021 we conducted a rapid review into digital services that supported supported children and young people to access mental health advice and guidance and even resources as well online. I think the COVID-19 pandemic really highlighted the need for this, as a lot of services were sort of stopped as well. So as part of a youth-led collaborative approach, youth ambassadors from wellbeing conducted a desktop review into these services, so focusing across East Sussex, West Sussex and Brighton and Hove. We also, as a team, engaged with young people, so they had a survey, a focus group and a digital wellbeing event. So it was looking at things like their access, barriers, any concerns they might have as well, and things like privacy. So about 44 digital offers were mapped back in 2021. Quite a lot of different kind of feedback and sort of different resources looked at. Some of the key takeaways were a lot of sites sort of were very tech saturated, whereas others were really good at incorporating things like photos, videos, experiences of young people and interactive elements as well. Whereas others, even though they've been positioned at young people, sort of included experiences of older adults, etc., which wasn't necessarily as connected to these young people. In terms of the youth engagement, 85% found that online mental health support useful, and around 2/3 had accessed this for the first time during the pandemic. And over half, so around 60%, wanted a sort of mix of online and face-to-face support going forwards. Some of the key barriers that were sort of brought up by some of these young people included sort of concerns around trust in terms of these online resources and how their personal information would be used. So some of this also stemmed from what their parents were saying to them as well about sort of what to put online, etc. There were comments as well about finding the number of online services overwhelming, so not knowing which one to turn to, which one would be best for their sort of support needs. And one that also extends beyond digital services was the sort of perception that their mental health needs weren't severe enough to warrant seeking support. But there were benefits as well, of course. So one of the really key ones was for young people raised that in terms of their disabilities, having that digital access was really useful. So they didn't have to think about travel, they didn't have to think how it would fit into their schedule if they had things like chronic fatigue. There were quite a few sort of recommendations that came out of this work. So a lot of it was sort of joining up services, increasing diversity and inclusion. Again, this is things that some sites did really well at and others less so. Providing more sort of training for organisations that support young people in terms of developing these communication materials effectively, and sort of improving the clarity of messaging across these. So now I'll sort of hand over to Charlotte to talk about the training that emerged from these recommendations.
So one of the key recommendations that came out of the digital review was about more training for professionals that work with children and young people online. And also it highlighted the need for clarity when communicating with young people. So our training was funded by Health Education England, and it focused on digital communication, engagement and diversity and inclusion. And the training sessions took place online across 3 areas of Sussex, so Brighton Hove, East Sussex and West Sussex. And young people were involved throughout the training, so we had some who were facilitating the training and also creating the materials that we used during the sessions. We also had Dr. Celia Scare involved in the training, which she shared her thoughts in terms of the trauma-informed approach to practice with young people. She highlighted the key principles of trauma-informed care, which were safety, choice, empowerment, trust and collaboration. And another part of the training, we had quite a few different tools and activities like breakout rooms, discussions, different things like that. But one of them was a case study where we gave professionals 2 different fictional organisations, and they had to have a discussion about what they felt were qualities that were engaging and helpful for young people, but also ones that had barriers for accessing support. And we also included a lot of young people's experiences within the training, so young people that weren't able to facilitate the training itself created videos to share their experiences and advice for practitioners. So some of the feedback we got, so Phoebe was one of our young people who created and facilitated the training with us. So she felt that it really improved her confidence in presenting, and she felt very involved in the process, which was great to hear. And we also had Hannah, so she thought that it was a really good opportunity to share her own experiences, especially how the pandemic affected her mental health. And it was great to hear that everyone was really pleased about the involvement of young people in the training itself. So yeah, I'll just hand back to Laura for participation feedback.
A lot of back and forth. So participant feedback was really positive. People really sort of valued the input of young people, and I think that was something that as YMCA and Health Innovation KSS were really keen to include, and it did come across really well because that doesn't always happen in programmes like this. So people really valued that young person impact, and also Dr. Lescare and her thoughts. They also, most people, I think about 90%, felt that they had a much better understanding of how to develop these communication materials more effectively for children and young people. So really thinking about things like consistent branding across and how you might use different communication methods across different platforms. So we asked people what their kind of key takeaways would be from this. So a lot of it was involving young people in this, both in terms of the development, having their experiences on the site as well, so other young people could connect with them, improving things like consistency across sites as well, taking away a lot of the heavy text-saturated information and making it more accessible and engaging to people, and also working with other organisations and services as well to sort of provide that easy link so people know exactly which routes to sort of follow to get the support that they need. And I'll pass it to Harriet for the next steps.
Yeah, I think that's summing up the digital review, and I guess really like it is about involving those young people. I think was the point of that, which is now I'm going to plug our new project. So it's our KSS funded. It's a youth research project. So our aim is to create. It's a 15-month project, and the aim is to create a youth research network for young people across Brighton, Hove, West Sussex and East Sussex. And the idea is that those young people are going to be trained by academics like yourselves in helping them understand how they actually maintain and create their own research project. There's going to be 3 separate projects that run, and it's all going to be done by those young people. So the projects themselves are chosen by those young people. it's their choice what they want to concentrate on. So it could be mental health waiting times is something that our ambassadors have been talking a lot about at the moment. And how do we support, is there a digital element that we can use to support people whilst they're waiting on referral lists? So that's the project. It's 3 months, and it's the idea of kind of getting this youth research network going in Brighton. We're going to have a hub based on our wellbeing website, which hopefully will sustainability be able to offer out research opportunities, provide case studies of young people completing this mental health research for people to access and see how that's worked as well. And this is my plug, because if anybody would like to be involved, then that would be great. We're looking for researchers, could be an MA researcher, if anybody has anybody they think in mind that would want to either help us develop some co-produced training on how to run a research project for young people. Obviously not the same as you would maybe when you get to the stage you're at, but something that is really like there for those young people. Or we have 3 research projects running, so someone who maybe like to help us with that life cycle of those actual research projects. I'm going to leave that up there. We're lucky we're the last ones. If it's all right, it'd be great if anybody wants to take me.